My name is Fritz KO, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Fritz KO Vids. Well, you might be watching this video on my YouTube channel, or you could be watching this on my Facebook forum called Rh Negative Blood Origins. Regardless, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you want more videos like this. I am currently in Savannah, Georgia. Why am I in Savannah, Georgia? I'm really interested in secret societies and how they affect all of our lives. That's why I'm here. I'm really starting to try to actually go to the locations that I'm talking about in these videos. Most people in their YouTube channels don't do that, and I hope you guys appreciate this. Like, I am really in Savannah, Georgia. This is actually really cool. The history here is something really awesome. So, last night I went and took a video that's some sad shit. But hey, you can do that here. Michigan, where I'm from, you can't sleep outside. Not this time of year, you die. But that's got nothing to do with anything. I live in central Michigan. While filming this video in Savannah, Georgia, it was negative 20 degrees in my home state. I wanted to make a video for you guys about Rh Negative Blood and secret societies. What does this have to do with Rh Negative Blood? Well, I should probably explain this to you. Savannah has been an incorporated city for more than 300 years, making it Georgia's first and oldest city. Savannah, Georgia was built and founded by Freemasons. It's actually one of the few cities, or there's a couple, like Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia, and I'm sure there's others, that were actually founded and designed by Freemasons. Of course, the Coca-Cola guys gotta fuck up my shit. Things rarely work out when you're trying to make a YouTube video, I tell you that much. Hopefully we'll shut that shitbox down. Well, again, if you like this kind of shenanigans, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. You can even hear what I'm saying. Savannah, Georgia is an all-American city with a rich history that dates back to the antebellum period. So this is Savannah, Georgia. There's the Freemason temple. Freemasonry's exact origins remain unknown. The fraternal group has existed at least since the 1300s. A number of prominent early Americans, including George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and Paul Revere, belonged to secret societies. All but a few American presidents are related to John Laughlin, King of England. Even Trump, and he is Rh negative, just like the Queen of England.
You have to understand the agenda. You have to understand who's bringing it about and why before you can see the manipulations and how people are being used and manipulated to bring it about. We are all manipulated. All of us.
Basically, what started me on this journey was I found out President Trump is Rh negative.
You are fake news.
And I thought that was really interesting, me being Rh negative, you out there being Rh negative. I'm sure you found that interesting. And for some reason, I started thinking about, I'd heard about this little girl. Basically, all of the presidents at the time when she did the research were all related to each other, and they were all related to John Laughlin, which is an old English monarch and King of England. Royalty, specifically, when you look them up in their blood types, they're Rh negative. So it's debatable, but it seems that the people, the movers and shakers who run our world are Rh negative. Royalty from kings and queens to presidents and prime ministers. And they're members, high-ranking members of a lot of these secret societies. All this stuff matters. Freemasons trace the roots of their organization back to the Middle Ages, with possible connections to medieval craft guilds and to the religious order of the Knights Templar.
2/3 of the Freemasons don't go beyond the 3rd degree.
Well, hold on just a second, Fritz. I mean, I know some
Okay.
Freemasons. I even work with one, and I mean,
Sure.
he seems to be the most down-to-earth guy I've ever known.
Sure.
And as a matter of fact, if I even get to talking to politics too much about him, I feel kind of sort of that I even know a little bit more what's going on than him. How is he controlling the world?
Oh, he's just a member of a lodge system. We're talking, the lodge system needs a lot of good men at the base to support its structure.
Because here's the thing, the vast majority of Freemasons are decent people. They're just normal Joes, like me and you. They don't really know much about what's going on, and for an outsider like me, a lot of it's basically speculation to the point. Because I actually have Freemason books. I've known real Freemasons. I've talked to them, asked them questions. I've interviewed a high-level Freemason on my YouTube channel. Check it out. Interview with a high-level Freemason is the name of the video, and you can hit my YouTube channel handle, FritzKO Vids. Go to the video tab, you can find it. I don't know. So what makes it so interesting about Albert Pike is, let me walk down this alley. That bum still there? Yeah, god damn it.
Conspiracy theories are popular on the internet. Heck, conspiracy theory is probably what led you to finding my YouTube channel. A simple web search on almost any secret society is bound to turn up at least a few websites dedicating to exposing some secret agenda that's all part of the Illuminati master plan. Doesn't it just sound silly? The thought that a rich group of elitist men could be pulling the strings behind the scenes, changing and controlling world events. These men/families related by blood, Rh Negative blood. I know it seems quite far-fetched, but is this theory false? It's the conclusion of what my research has brought me to. Let's continue moving forward here.
I'm going to go on some tours. We're going to go to the Freemason Museum. I'm going to show you guys some things. We're going to learn some stuff. There's the Black Rifle Coffee Company. That's cool. Supposedly they're military veterans. This is right down here, Savannah, Georgia. I don't know if that's their headquarters, if they got more, but I'm not going to get too close to this Coca-Cola truck because it's loud.
Solomon's Lodge, located in Savannah, Georgia, is a Masonic lodge that was founded in 1734. You will see dates from the 1700s brought up over and over again in this documentary. Again, this Masonic lodge was founded in 1734 by James Oglethorpe, a Freemason. Why did Freemasons name the first lodge and many other Freemason lodges after King Solomon? King Solomon's temple is the prophet of Freemasonry, not King Solomon, but his temple. And it's expressed so throughout their books, writings, teachings, and ceremonies. Hiram Abiff, the widow's son, is the central character presented to all candidates during the 3rd degree in Freemasonry. Hiram is presented as the chief architect of Solomon's temple. Hiram, master builder of Solomon's temple, was murdered by his underlings. Freemasonry substitutes God and Jesus Christ for a fantasy figure called Hiram Abiff. Freemasons will always be at odds with Christianity. Most members are clueless to these facts, and I'll explain why further on in this documentary. What does the Lord of the Rings have to do with any of this? This is sort of a crazy connection, but I'm going to go ahead and run with it anyway. Just like Sauron in the Lord of the Rings, Solomon had a ring that controlled other rings. In the Lord of the Rings, the demon used the rings to control men. In the Bible, Solomon used his rings to control demons and Satan himself. The Rings of Power are fictional magical artifacts appearing in J.R.R. Tolkien's books, primarily featured in his novel The Lord of the Rings. These magic rings are depicted as objects essential in the Dark Lord Sauron's plan to rule over Middle-earth as the Lord of the Rings. It's the whole premise of the whole books. Freemasonry likes this symbology because they want to use the pyramid structure of Freemasonry to control people. You've seen the pyramid with the all-seeing eye in it before. It's on the back of the $1 bill. It pops up in all sorts of places. Sauron is represented as an eye that sits atop a triangle-shaped mountain. The Eye of Sauron, or Great Eye. It was said that few could endure its terrible gaze. The eye symbol was also used by Sauron as a symbol on armor and banners of Mordor. It has been speculated that J.R.R. Tolkien might have been a secret Freemason, as he was Catholic, and Catholics are not allowed to be Freemasons. The Freemasons are the continuance of the Knights Templar. Who were the Knights Templar? The Knights Templar were a large organization of devout Christians during the medieval era who protected European travelers visiting sites in the Holy Land while also carrying out military operations during the Crusades. Basically, they killed everyone and took their stuff and justified the murders and theft through religion.
A lot of what's happening in the world today is because this happened yesterday. Make no mistake about it, everything that is happening in the world today is because of race and religion and the persecution caused by those two different things throughout the history of the world.
Interesting fact, Freemasonry was born during the Crusades. What is known of the Knights Templar? The Knights Templar in those times were referred to, or also known as, or called, the poor fellow soldiers of the Temple of Solomon, the Order of Solomon's Temple, the Knights Templar, or simply the Templars. Sounds like they had the same sort of obsession with Solomon's Temple that Freemasons do. What do you guys think? The Templars were a Catholic military order founded in 1119, headquartered on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. For some 200 years, the Knights Templar protected the faithful on their pilgrimages to Jerusalem, fought with Muslims, and gained wealth and power. They were respected, and it was a prestigious thing to be accepted into the order. The Knights Templar were the elite fighting force of their day, highly trained, well-equipped, and highly motivated. One of the tenets of their religious order was that they were forbidden from retreating in battle. With the Templars' extensive financial resources, the Knights Templar founded a large number of building projects around Europe and the Holy Land. Many of these structures are still standing today. Many sites also still have the name Temple because of the centuries-old association with the Templars at these locations. Some of Solomon's most famous achievements were his building projects, particularly the Temple in Jerusalem. Do you see the connections? Let's connect the dots here, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about Solomon. It was for the Knights Templar, as it is today for the Freemasons. As the Templars' influence grew, so did too their power and wealth. Eventually, the Templars developed into an efficient military organization that adopted absolute secrecy to cover all internal activities. Templars also made powerful enemies along the way. Among them was King Philip IV, who ascended the throne of France in 1268. His country near bankruptcy, the Templars possessed both money and land in abundance, which King Philip needed. The Knights Templar, with their newfound wealth, had learned from the Jewish Kabbalah that mysticism and dark powers influence our world. A lot of the symbolism used in secret societies goes back to ancient Babylonian Jewish Kabbalah symbolism. Occult practices like Aleister Crowley-type seances originate back to the Knights Templar and their discovery of mysticism and the dark powers that influence our reality. Whether you believe in all this stuff or not doesn't matter. They do. And to understand them, you must understand the occult practices that they are involved with. When were the Templars disbanded? Blamed for the failure of the Crusades, the order was destroyed by France's King Philip IV, and under pressure from King Philip, Pope Clement reluctantly dissolved the Knights Templar in 1312. 54 knights were executed in France by French authorities. These executions were motivated by Philip's desire to prevent the Templars from mounting an effective public defense of the order. While most historians agree that the Knights Templar fully disbanded 700 years ago, some historians believe the order went underground and remains in existence to this very day. Fast forward 2 years later, the Battle of Bannockburn was fought on June 24th, 1314, and when a group of exiled Templars rode into the fray, they turned the tide of battle, and the Scots defeated the English army, winning their independence. Afterwards, Freemason temples were established across Scotland, and from there, the light of Freemasonry grew as the Knights Templar order dissolved.
Okay, Fritz. Well, you talked about how these Illuminati families, when they have power, and we can see that, then they go into hiding. Most people would say that the Templars, the Knights Templars, were one of these Illuminati structures. Could you explain basically how they supposedly went into hiding? Because you hear about the Templars, they had quite a long reign, and then the French turned against them, and then they were outlawed by the Pope, and then they just disappeared out of history.
Right, and but they didn't. Although the Pope outlawed them, they were able to flee, and initially they went to places in Spain and Portugal, and from there they boarded ships and they sailed to Scotland. And there was a decision made to give Scotland its independence, and the Knights Templars that landed in Scotland then in the Battle of Bannockburn helped the Scottish gain their independence, and then became very prominent in the affairs of Scotland.
Well, you know, Fritz, I saw the movie Braveheart, and I don't remember there being any Templar Knights in that movie.
Yes, that's true, but the movie ended before the Battle of Bannockburn.
Oh, all right, I understand now. Okay.
After the fall of the Templars, the order of Freemasonry changed. It seems like Freemasons never forgot the role royalty and the church played in the destruction of the Templars. In fact, it seems like their ultimate goal has been revenge against those who brought destruction to the Templars. The Rosicrucians were a more secretive and darker secret society. Even today, it cannot be ascertained where and when this organization was founded. It appears there were different lineages of the Order of the Rose Cross. They may have influenced the Freemasons, Illuminati, and even the Knights Templar. Possible evidence for the connection between the Knights Templar and the Rosicrucians exists in Portugal at the Covenant of the Order of Christ. 3 centuries later, during the reign of James Stewart I, the embryos of both Scottish and Yorkist rites of Masonry developed in England. At that time, it was called Jacobite Masonry, in memory of martyred Templar Grand Master Jacques de la Motte. Later, these rituals became known to Masons in England and America as York Rite, and in France and America as Scottish Rite. Third-degree initiation into Blue Lodge Masonry is an enactment of the interrogation and execution of Jacques de Molay, and it has been said it could be also Hiram Abiff. It's interesting. It could be an example of both. It's a brutal initiation from which comes the common saying by someone questioned about his dubious activity, "He gave me the 3rd degree." We've all heard that said before. The Knights Templar became active again during the 1700s as part of the Freemasons. The 1700s is the start of worldwide revolutions. No concrete evidence exists connecting the earlier factions of Knights to the Masons, according to the Order of Freemasonry. While all Knights belong to the Masons, not all Masons call themselves Knights. The Freemasons require a belief in God, but freedom to choose a faith according to their order, while the Knights are a Christian-oriented group. Again, after the Knights Templar became active during the 1700s as part of the Freemasons, the start of worldwide revolutions occurred. The American Revolution, America was called by Freemasons at the time the New World.
So, gee, if our founding fathers were deists and they were members of the secret societies, and some of them were masquerading as Christians, and some of them were just flat weren't Christians, weren't masquerading at all. Why did they create this country? They came here to create a new world, not a country. How many of you really read what they wrote? They didn't come here to create a country. They came here to create a new world. What did they call it? They called it the New World, didn't they? What else did they call it? The Grand Experiment, the Great Experiment. Remember reading those words? And just read right over them, didn't really understand what it meant? They came from a world that was oppressive, ruled by kings and queens and popes and prelates and bishops and lords and barons, who just because they didn't like the way you looked could chop you into quarters and throw you to the pigs if they wanted to, anytime they wanted to. And if you didn't believe the religion they wanted you to believe in, they'd burn you at the stake or torture you. In some way, make your life absolutely miserable. They came here to create a new world, free from all of that. But they knew that they could not be safe in the new world if the old world was the way that it was. How do you get rid of kings and queens and barons and lords and emperors and prelates and sultans and emirs? How do you do that? That's exactly right. A new world order. From the beginning, that was the goal, ladies and gentlemen. That's the absolute truth. From the very beginning, that was the goal. What do you think New World means? What do you think it means?
And it's exactly what they were trying to create, a new world. The French Revolution was also happening shortly after the American Revolution, leading to Napoleon taking over France and decimating much of old Europe. Frederick the Great in Prussia, creating Germany, the Russian Revolution, the death of the Tsars, and Greek Orthodoxy. Freemasonry played a part in all of these events.
Stalin and Churchill and Roosevelt, who were the Allied leaders, they were all three Freemasons. I could go back and essentially every war that there is, I could go through and show how these families have created them, manipulated them.
Let's not forget the gentleman named Adam Weishaupt, founder of the Bavarian Illuminati and the New World Order utopian globalism, one could say. Adam Weishaupt, founder of the Bavarian Illuminati, has been called many things. A human devil. Professor John Robertson called him the profoundest conspirator that ever existed. But what's the real story behind the man? Adam Weishaupt was born on February 6, 1748, in Ingolstadt, a city in Bavaria, Germany, which was then an independent kingdom. When he was a baby, his parents, who had been Orthodox Jews, converted to the Roman Catholic Church. As a Bavarian, Adam learned Czech and Italian as a child, and in school he soon mastered Latin, Greek, and with his father's help, Hebrew. Adam rebelled against Jesuit discipline. He resisted their overtures and eventually became the professor of canon law at the University of Ingolstadt. Beginning around 1768, Adam began the collection of a large library. He read every ancient manuscript and text that he and his associates could get their hands on. Adam grew interested in the occult, becoming obsessed with the Great Pyramid of Giza. He was convinced that the pyramids were a prehistoric temple of initiation. In 1771, Adam decided to found a secret society aimed at transforming the human race. Adam fashioned his order in the form of what else? A pyramid. Its members pledged to obedience were divided into three main classes. Every candidate had given a written promise to tell nobody of the society. He learned nothing of his superiors and of the origin of the society. but was confirmed in the belief that the order could be traced back to antiquity and that its members included even popes and cardinals. He further vowed eternal silence and strict obedience. Every month he had to send a report to a superior whom he did not know. Adam felt that human society had grown hopelessly corrupt and that it could only be saved by a complete overhaul. The Illuminati had 5 goals. Number 1, the abolition of monarchies and all ordered governments. Number 2, the abolition of private property and inheritances. Number 3, the abolition of patriotism and nationalism. Number 4, the abolition of family life and the institution of marriage and the establishment of communal education of children. And number 5, abolition of all religion. And when you look at this, it kind of reminds you of communism. By drawing upon Europe's best and brightest, Adam was confident that the order could attain its goals. He wrote, "The pupils are convinced that the order will one day rule the world." He also urged his followers not to shrink from committing violence or criminal acts in meeting Illuminati objectives. Recruitment proceeded at a brisk pace. By 1782, the Illuminati had spread from Denmark to Portugal and either further afield. Illuminized Britons joined with like-minded Americans to found the Columbian Lodge in New York City that year. A young Russian nobleman joined the order in Leipzig and carried the doctrines home to St. Petersburg. An Illuminati courier was struck by lightning and killed. When the Bavarian police searched his body, they found coded messages from Weishaupt sewn into his clothes. The King of Bavaria then banned the order in August 1784. Fired from his position at the university and accused of everything from treason to goat molestation, Adam fled Ingolstadt on horseback and went to Gotha, where he was offered refuge by Duke Ernst II. The most profoundest conspirator that ever existed lived out the rest of his life in exile. Proper assessment of Adam's role in history may have to wait a few more centuries for a generation of more objective historians. He is still a hot-button name in conversation. Some researchers claim that Weishaupt did not think out the plan for the new secret society himself, but that he was appointed by Freemasons to create a secret society capable of starting the French Revolution, the ultimate revenge against the people who murdered the Templars. The global plan for a world order is ancient, and Weishaupt was just another pawn in it. The Illuminati order continued to exist even after Weishaupt's exile, but was now operating underground. This was still the order that made the French Revolution happen, of course, in alliance with Freemasonry.
Freemasonry and the Illuminati are like a glove in a hand. It's not that every Freemason is in the Illuminati, it's that this is just one more system or lodge or secret society that's controlled by them.
The Illuminati name's not used much anymore, except by everyday people who find out about it.
This information out there that I need to clarify, and that is the misunderstanding that's common out there is that this man, Adam Weishaupt, which was a pseudonym, a name that he had taken actually, started the Illuminati. He did create a modern structure for it. He was paid by these families to create a modern structure. But he didn't originate the Illuminati. The Illuminati goes back thousands of years before him. If we go back into antiquity, we will see that there were certain families that were deified as gods, like Pharaoh, Alexander the Great. These powerful families believed they were gods, and they controlled through their priesthoods in these mystery religions the people that were subservient to them. All of the royalty and aristocrats of Europe are descendant from one single bloodline. Then when you go to look at our presidents, you find that 11 of our presidents, at least 11, are part of that bloodline.
Okay, Fritz.
So history matters. It's important to know these things. And there's just so much to know. actually quite crazy.
Since the time of Woodrow Wilson, including him, there has never been a president of the United States that was not an Illuminati.
These high-level people in society make changes to the way we live that permanently affect our lives.
So when you see any kind of an agenda that contributes to this one world order, or as Bush has called it, New World Order, or, you know, Hitler, who was also of these bloodlines, also referred to New World Order. That seems to be a popular term with them.
Right, and I noticed earlier when you had mentioned it, you just said world order, that you didn't put the new in there. Why is that?
Because it's not new at all.
On the back of the $1 bill, you'll see the crest with the pyramid in it. But that pyramid in the Illuminati consists of 3 pyramids and a sphinx, but their crest is this crest. The Illuminati is the occult organization that we belong to. It means the light bearers.
Well, Fritz, now that we know basically a little bit about the Illuminati and about how they structure their system, can you give us a little bit of the mindset of these Illuminati families? I mean, why do these families, these 13 families and other families, feel that they have the right or the authority to control almost every aspect of our lives?
These families, since antiquity, have believed that they were gods, and of course they have been worshipped in many periods as gods. And they continue to pass that prideful belief down from one generation to another. They believe that they're a superior being. Oftentimes, when I've seen quotes by these people or heard people relate what they heard, you see that they refer to us as ants or cattle, and they basically have the idea that they were born to be gods and rule us, and we were born to serve them. They made a decision that they would use Christianity for their own ends. So they established churches that they themselves controlled, and they went behind the scenes and set up a lot of fronts. Why did these Masonic trade guilds build gargoyles and people taking an excrement? You're told they did it for Christ.
And I guess, Fritz, people really don't understand is that most of Christianity evolved from the Catholic religion. And the word Catholic itself means universal. And so they just went out into their areas and just absorbed all of the local religions of whatever land they were at.
That's very well said. There were a number of mystery religions that bestowed their authority into the Catholic Church. For instance, the mystery religion of Dagon had which was the fish god, and you'll notice that one of the symbols that the Christians use today is the fish, and the Pope's hat, his mitre hat, was the crown of authority of the head of the mystery religion of Dagon.
So you mean, Fritz, when I'm driving around in my car and I see another car in front of me with the little fish symbol on the back of it, that the symbol, in reality, even though they believe it represents Christ, is really a symbol for the Dagon mystery religion?
I don't think that you'll find Christians putting it on there because they worship Dagon, but all I'm doing is saying a lot of these symbols have histories beyond what the Christian church thinks about. I've seen a number of churches with the Masonic Knights Templar logo on the side of their churches.
Mm-hmm. And what logo is that?
It's a cross and a crown.
Cross and crown.
Right. I've seen all-seeing eyes. There's Catholic churches that have the Illuminati all-seeing eye. To someone who hasn't been initiated into who hasn't studied this, the whole the subject is so vast and so incredible that it's really difficult to absorb. This thing started in antiquity. These people controlled everything back then. They never gave up control, although they have worked through trade guilds and the Masonic Lodge and other things. They've always had the power. They never gave up the power.
I'm going to look up into that more and find out how involved with the KKK Freemasonry was. That's going to be an interesting road to go down. This is an interesting road to go down, or alley. Someone lives there. And they live here. This is cool. Well, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm having a really nice time. I'm about to go on a ghost tour later. I'll record that maybe and show it to you. That's cool. It's kind of dark back here. I don't think I'd like coming back here in the night. Seems like a perfect setup for a robbery. I thought Savannah, Georgia was little. It's actually kind of big, and a lot of it's just so old and cool looking. We got to find the Freemason Lodge. I was just at the house of the Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. That's pretty cool. I'll flash a photo of that. You ever heard of Albert Pike before?
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
So I'm here in Savannah learning about Albert Pike's connections to the Freemasons. He was a high-level Freemason. He was a general in the American Civil War on the southern side. Albert Pike was one of the most important of all the speculative Freemasons. A speculative Freemason is basically a hardcore Freemason. They live life by the book and the mottos of Freemasonry. Albert Pike made the ancient and accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry the American institution it is today. Solomon's Lodge, located in Savannah, Georgia, where I currently am right now, is a Masonic lodge that was founded in 1734. Alright, so I just found the Freemason Temple. I guess it's right around the corner there. Alright guys, I found it. I don't know if you can see it. Well, here's Solomon's Lodge. Let's go take a look inside. Looks like it's defunct, but this had been where Albert Pike and various different other Freemasons, some cool, some not, would have met up. It does not look like it's in use anymore. Oh, right there, the Freemason Lodge? It looks like it's defunct, like they don't even do anything there. It's definitely not a Freemason Lodge, correct?
It is a Freemason Lodge. There are people that go in there, but it's not open to the public.
Okay.
And
oh, it still is a lodge, but they do cotton exchange in there too, you said?
no, the old cotton exchange. That's where the old, where they set the prices on cotton was.
It was in the Freemason Lodge.
Uh-huh.
That's interesting. And they say secret societies don't got control over anything.
If you look at every organization today, be it a university, a school, a government, a secret society, anything, a multinational company, business of any kind, they're structured as a pyramid, which works like this. In any organization, you've got a very, very few people at the peak of the pyramid. That very few people know exactly what that organization's about, what its real agenda is, what it's really trying to achieve. The further you come down from that peak in any organization, you're meeting more and more and more people who know less and less and less and less about what the organization's really about. They only know their part.
For example, if you take Paul Wolfowitz, who runs the World Bank, through him you can control the entire organization. You don't need to control what the dishwasher or the toilet cleaner thinks or does or believes in. You just need to control what he does and what he believes in, and what he does will permeate the entire organization. And that's how you control, with very, very small power base, an entire global population of 6 billion people.
The CIA call this compartmentalization, keeping from everyone else in the pyramid how what they're doing in apparent innocence links in with what other people are doing in apparent innocence to produce a very sinister pattern. So the banking system is a pyramid going to a peak. The intelligence agency network in the world is a pyramid going to a peak. The multinational company network is a pyramid. So is the global media, and so on. And there is a global pyramid within which all these work, in which the peaks of all these individual pyramids, banking, business, media, etc., fuse into one peak. And up there, it's speculated by many people, there perhaps maybe no more than 13 families, 13 people at the peak, pervading down through these different levels the same basic policy, which is pushing the world towards more and more centralization of power.
They're over there doing their coke and doing, you know, enjoying their business. That's what they're doing, the upper people.
All kinds of shadiness.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Nice chatting with you. Thank you.
My mother was a self-made millionaire. I know all about it.
Thank you for the piece of history there. I would have never known that.
Organized Freemasonry has perfected the big lie technique. They call this term doublespeak. Albert Pike was a Confederate general, a slave owner, a British spy, a convicted Confederate war criminal, Sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree.
Take the next right onto East River Street.
Say hi.
No, you don't want to.
Yeah, trust me, you guys aren't famous. I don't want you in as much as you guys don't want to be.
Right.
Just ignore me. We're in public. Go about your business. Life's good. Well, the fog's actually lifting. You can see the boat. I don't think they're going to let you in Solomon's Temple unless you're a member.
I know.
I guess they used to control the price of cotton in there?
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Just saying, hey, we're on a tour. I always tell people to take a seat. Thanks.
Well, that was real quick.
I've been in there. I was...
He wanted no part of that. All right, see you later. Did you tell them about Albert Pike?
I did.
You did tell them about Albert
No,
Pike?
I didn't.
Well, regardless, that's the Freemason Temple, and you can see how they act. If you try to get in there, they're not going to let you in there, and they don't even want to talk to you. Especially nowadays, because of all the crazy hatred that's for them. It's cool that I actually popped up here at the right moment to actually record all that. Isn't it interesting how life sometimes works out? Well, that's Solomon's Lodge, number 1.
I explored all over Savannah, Georgia, looking for some vast Albert Pike conspiracy to expose for all of you. In between that and exploring all over the internet, I was actually able to discover that there wasn't much to talk about at all, truthfully. In fact, the Luciferian quotes that have been attributed to Albert Pike seem now to be false, as in, I own morals and dogma, and nowhere in the book can I find any of these Luciferian quotes. On top of that, there's no proof that I've been able to find that directly associates Albert Pike in any of his writings or any writings of anyone else at that time that associates him with the KKK.
try. I hope you guys are happy. I paid 32 bucks just to get on the ferry so I can show you guys this from a different angle. I mean, obviously I'll probably enjoy riding on the ferry too because I'm ridiculous, but there it is. I don't know.
By the way, folks, those used to be a thing. Debtors' prisons, meaning if you got into some really heavy debt, they could throw you into prison for it, which, you know, nowadays you could just get yourself another credit card, but back in those days you could actually go to prison for that, right? Luckily those don't still exist, because I literally just would have got out of jail last year, but anyway, this was a life-changing event for him. As a member of Parliament, he was able to win the release of more than 10,000 of these debtors from those horrible prisons in England. But he wanted to take it even further. He wanted to start helping the general poor population in England at the time. So one night, him and his buddies got together. They're, you know, discussing ways in which they can do this. And, well, you know, what do you think the big idea they came up with was? I mean, you're all looking at it right now. Savannah, Georgia.
When you grow up, you find out that life isn't the way you imagined it.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth! I know the truth!
I never drink. I'm on this ferry boat, having a wonderful time on the 4th story. I had 2 rum and cokes. I think they made them pretty strong. I'm kind of buzzed up here. Having a wonderful time. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I spent a lot of money making it, but I've had a great time. Again, enjoy. So I rode the boat. That was a lot of fun. There's like all kinds of activity here. These guys are setting up to shoot some kind of movie or something. This staircase is crazy. I'm gonna go down it. Ugh. Yeah, I asked them what kind of movie they were setting up. Oh, this totally looks like it's somebody's bedroom. Do what you gotta do. This is so cool. It's 62 degrees here right now. I'm in a light jacket. I'm totally comfortable. I don't have a hat on or nothing. Where I'm from, it's like -1. Central Michigan. Oh, here's some dude jamming. He is jamming. He's jamming out. A heck of a... Somebody selling some art? When I was here earlier, there was nothing going on and you couldn't see nothing.
Albert Pike served as a brigadier general in the Confederate Army and led a battalion of Native Americans. Following the war, Pike was jailed for treason, but he was quickly pardoned by fellow Freemason and John Lachlan, King of England relative and possible Rh Negative President Andrew Johnson. Pike was also believed to be a Luciferian. The infamous Luciferian quote, often falsely attributed to Pike, is simply a fantasy.
There's a statue of him in Washington, D.C. He was a 33rd degree Freemason.
Albert Pike is this high Mason who wrote the manual, if you like, of Scottish Freemasonry.
He had a lot of Masonic dealings here in this town. And pretty much to understand Freemasonry, you got to understand the higher members of Freemasonry.
Now, Albert Pike wrote a letter to Mancini, and that was dated August 15, 1871, in which he propagated that there should be a world order, a one order where all nations are under the control of one central organization. And in order to achieve this, they planned, and there are numerous quotes for this, so I've put a number on the screen because some will say, I don't trust this, I don't trust that, I don't trust the other. Here are references down there, there are references up there, there will be references in other slides, so it comes from different sources. He said, and this was, by the way, on display in the British Museum and could be seen there until it was taken away. The First World War, to overthrow the power of the Tsars in Russia, protector of orthodoxy, and bring about an atheistic communistic state. Did that happen? Yes. Now that was written long before this event. Long before this event. This was written in 1871, but this war broke out in 1914. The Second World War, that's also written long before the event, to originate between Great Britain and Germany, to strengthen communism as antithesis to the Judeo-Christian culture, and bring about a Zionist state in Israel. Did it achieve this objective? Yes. In fact, after this war, Israel, in its present form, was reinstated under the protection of Britain. And then, interestingly enough, a Third World War, a Middle Eastern war involving Judaism and Islam and spreading internationally. That's fascinating. Is that on the cards, or what do you think?
Why all the constant wars of aggression in the Middle East? Most of our presidents have been Freemasons, and the goal of the Knights Templar was to reclaim the Holy Land from the Muslims. Why does the American government always support Israel? It's all about reclaiming the Holy Land. It was no surprise to me to find out longtime Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is a 33rd degree Freemason. If I'm wrong about any of this, please tell me in the comments section below. In an interview, former National Security Guard Brzezinski admitted that Afghan Islamism was created by the government in Washington. Brzezinski himself is a high-level Freemason. Henry Kissinger, a Freemason himself, had to first destroy secular Muslims so extremist Muslims could destabilize the Middle East. I recommend that you check out BBC documentary by Adam Curtis on the subject. It's a very excellent watch, very informative. Giving the United States a reason to invade, as the rise of extremist Muslim took over secular Muslims. It is just another example that the world religions were made up by ancient secret societies. At the top of the religious pyramid, know that all organized religions are secret societies. The hierarchy in Al-Qaeda is formed identical to Freemasonry's Illuminati capstone atop the pyramid. Today, under the flags of the USA and England, Templar Crusaders continue to defend the Holy Land against the Muslims. In 1882, General Albert Pike, commander of the Supreme Council then, communicated to a select group of Masons in Savannah the Scottish Rite degrees. The Rite grew rapidly, not only in Savannah, but throughout the state, and the Masons who received the higher Scottish Rite degrees received them in Savannah. Therefore, it may be said that the light and truth of Scottish Rite of Freemasonry was kindled in Savannah, and the light from it illuminated all of the South. The traditions of Masonry run deep in Savannah. In 2002, the Scottish Rite Masons of Savannah were joined by all the Masons in the state in celebration of 200 years of Scottish Rite of Masonry in Savannah in all of Georgia. Modern-day Freemasons claim Albert Pike is a nobody, whose importance is nothing to Masonry, who no one even knows who he is. And this is a lie. Albert Pike is to Freemasonry what William Shakespeare is to drama. And obviously, that person is anti-Masonic. Of course, anything an anti-Mason says or writes is not acceptable to a Mason. Masons who find themselves on the clear losing end of a Pike match will say, but even if you are right, so what? It happened 150 years ago and has no bearing on today, etc. Well, it does matter, and here is why. Pike wasn't just any Freemason. He was the head of the Supreme Council, which had control over the entire worldwide Masonic movement then. Therefore, the Ku Klux Klan was an official, albeit very secret, and planned Masonic organization with political overtones that most certainly was set up to engage in murder, arson, blackmail, and to achieve the Scottish Rite's political objectives. The KKK and Freemasonry relationship thereby is as seamless as could be. From its inception through the open recruiting of Masons in newspapers to the KKK, to the use of Masonic temples and halls for KKK meetings, to rituals, rites, and occult themes, to the high degree Masonic members of the leadership of the old and new clans. In most regions of the country, the local KKK clan's membership was indistinguishable from the local Blue Masonic Lodge's membership. Even the present cover-up can be seen to be part of organized Freemasonry's continued involvement with reactionary politics. They have never stopped. They never have given up. Many have speculated on what happened to the millions of KKK members that were on the rolls up to the KKK's final downfall at the hands of the IRS in the 1940s. Well, we now know they simply carried on inside the Masonic lodges as if nothing had changed. There was a time when it was unpopular, socially speaking, to expose Freemasonry secrets. Times have changed. 3 rings for the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the dark lord on his dark throne. In the land of Mordor where the shadows lie, 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them.
Yeah, so a lot of this stuff has been around way longer than me. And I know you guys don't believe that because of all the white hairs in my beard, but it's true. It's so true. I'm kind of just walking around the town and rambling random bullshit. I know I'll edit all this later and it'll be cool. Look, there's a trolley track. It runs down here or something. It's so foggy you can't see anything. It's like pea soup out here. Oh, look, you can see a little boat. Actually, a huge boat. The nice lady that was telling us about the Freemasons setting the price of cotton gave me this rose later on when I seen her when I was walking around out and about making more recordings. It was nice. Thank you. If you ever see my YouTube video, which I doubt you ever will, thanks for the rose. Well, I'm on the Mississippi Queen, and I'm watching another boat dock. You know how I'm always saying get on the trolley? Well, there you go. There's some people on the trolley. Now you need to get on the trolley. Well, guys, that's pretty much it. There's not much left to see here. Just palm trees and me running my mouth. So if you want more videos like this, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and also hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching.